Hello, this is Virtualis, the chess noob, learning and having fun with chess. And on move 12, my opponent had moved the queen 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So hello. Now, this was another game that I played in the Australia Day tournament in the second round. Now, if we look at the review, I did fairly well in this game using the Vienna Game, about 84% accurate, somewhat more accurate than my opponent. And you will see in this game, it shows a really good principle of why you should not bring your queen out early. Let's have a look now at the analysis. All right, so Vienna Game, e4, e5, knight c3. Now, opponent here played a uncommon response with c6. Now, c6, no, look, Stockfish called it good. I don't think it's that good because it's immediately plus 0.5 to the to white, and frankly, there are just some better responses. Here, what I saw, and this is a general principle, whenever the opponent cedes control of the center with pawns, it's generally okay to immediately strike. So Stockfish wanted me to bring out the other knight, but you will see that d4 is almost the same rating. And here I take the center, inviting to take, and invitation to take was a mistake for black to accept. You will see they would the computer suggested actually just playing d6. Here, queen out, now commanding control of the center. Plus 2. Now, my opponent here plays probably the move they shouldn't have made, but it's interesting how in the Vienna, it often baits the opponent to play queen to f6 in a number of lines, and that's what they do. Effectively, the opponent is bringing out their strongest warrior, the queen, asking for a trade-off. And of course, this is not good for me because if I capture, they basically just get to win a development of their knight. And so I don't play. I don't want the queens to face off, and so the pawn to e5, counter-attacking. And of course, this is one of the problems when your queen is out. It gets pushed around with minor pieces. Opponent now plays queen g6, okay, now potentially with an attack here and potentially with an attack there. Now, what I do is I decide to block that diagonal with the knight. Now, Stockfish didn't like it, but I'm still plus 2. And I decided to keep the bishop here. Now, I know that the queen taking this bishop from doing analyses before is probably okay. But I just don't want to deal with that sort of nonsense. Stockfish is unafraid, wanted the bishop to come out to immediately attack the queen. Now, the principles here is even though I've got my queen out, the goal is development. Bring out the pieces. The opponent plays d6, so plays a pawn to try to let their bishop out. Here, no reason for me to not to capture. And of course, here, if the opponent captures, that comes back with check. And so that's I'm pretty happy with that. And now having a pawn all the way to the 6th rank. So pretty happy with that. Opponent sort of moves the queen, looking at sort of, potentially, pinning my knight to the king, potentially able to take. So, that potentially makes some sense, I suppose. About here, I was unafraid. Now, I again saw that bishop here was probably fine with an attack on the queen. However, I didn't want to have that knight pinned to the king. And here I thought, I can potentially do long castles. I saw that potential was coming, but I didn't think that was a problem. Like queen taking that pawn, that's fine, especially when they're completely undeveloped. So now queen move again, queen d5. And at this point, I didn't want to have a queen trade. I liked my queen in that position, so I opted to long castles. Yep, again, I saw that a bishop there was probably the best move, but I thought what would happen was that we'll end up with a queen trade. Now, I am very substantially ahead on development, but I thought I wanted to keep my queen where it is. Here, I thought that would be pretty tempting for the opponent. Yet another queen move, and this I didn't think caused me any particular problems. So they capture, and you can see that was a mistake. +7 now, you know, the rook and queen in a battery, semi-open file. This is like an open file, not looking good for the opponent with the king still in the center. So here, rather than doing anything else, all I decided to do was to develop another piece. Look at all this development here. I was pretty sure they were going to probably make that move, and they did. Another queen move, even though it's best, it doesn't achieve anything. I was pretty sure they're going to make another queen move, and here I decided to move it out of the way. Stockfish reckons back here, but I thought we'll just end up with a repetition. Might as well just move it straight out of the way, and I potentially thought the opponent's just going to move back to d8, aren't they? They're worried about the queen being trapped. Yet another queen move, and basically by move 12, the opponent spent 8 of those moves, moving the queen, with the queen returning to her starting square. So she's done try to do all the heavy lifting for the opposing army, immediately try to face off, didn't work, tour of the battlefield, and now back at home. Move 12, every single one of my opponent's pieces are still on the back rank. They have a single pawn developed one square and missing central pawns. It's absolutely disastrous, and this is why it's almost +18 for white. The game doesn't last much longer at this point. So queen e5 with check, block, but that is fine. Bishop captures bishop. They try to bring the knight out to attack the queen. Doesn't work. Bishop captures knight. King captures, and that's basically a forced capture because that is a double check. So forced to capture, and here basically mate in 3. A number of different ways. Now the first way I looked was knight to c5, but that wasn't the fastest mate. But basically how this one would work is that the king is basically forced to one square because that's protected by the pawn, that's protected by the queen. King is now forced to that square, and then with check, that diagonal is covered by the queen, and basically the queen, there's only one way to defend, which is queen captures, and basically now it's close to all over. Rook captures, doesn't matter what's the next move by the opponent, and checkmate. Now, the faster potential checkmate, which I didn't see, would have been queen to this position, and again, not very many moves for the opponent. Can't go here, can't go here, can't go here. King is forced back to that rank, pawn forward, and again, there'd be pretty much no real options. So king cannot capture, the queen can capture, but if the queen captures, then that would be checkmate next turn. So very, very strong position here, but in the end, I sort of took the knight to this, the knight, to this position, and the opponent resigned. Good game, GG. 2 takeaways from this game. 1, c6 is probably not the best response to the Vienna game. And 2, developing your queen before other pieces is generally bad for a reason. I hope you found this video interesting, and thanks for watching.